start the session. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this session on looking for inner peace, managing of stress. Thank you for being here. It is an honor and pleasure for me to meet you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening and good afternoon to you. I'm Mazuki. I'm a neurosemantics trainer and meta coach. I represent Malaysia in the international leadership team of the International Society of Neurosemantics. I help people like you to systematically develop skills in leading, communicating, and coaching to bring out the best in yourself and others. By actualizing that, you can experience an exceptional quality of life filled with happiness, creativity, and fulfillment. In the 60 to 90 minutes together, we'll be discussing about the importance of balance in life, the myth called work-life balance, and moving from balance to vitality. We'll also be discussing on the major signs and symptoms of stress, and also I'll be sharing with you some effective stress management strategies. I'd like to mention, especially for those of you who are joining for the first time, that my style is to be light and humorous. So if I laugh or smile, I'm never laughing at you, but at our silly human qualities. My purpose is to lighten things up, reduce being serious, and be more real. So before I continue, I would like to welcome all of you who are here today, this evening, this afternoon. Mr. Helmi from Tunisia, Claudine from Malta, and we have our usuals, Guatching, Cheksiu, and Rina. You have joined us from Malaysia. It is a pleasure and honor for me to be discussing this with you, and I hope that in the limited time that we have together, you'll gain something of value for yourself. As you are well aware, COVID-19 and the rolling lockdowns are a continuing cause of stress in many people's lives for more than 2 years already. The disease itself introduced the fear and uncertainty of infection that led to health risks or even death. The subsequent lockdown caused people to lose their livelihoods, causing financial stress. Being restrained from physical movement and social interactions led to mental and emotional issues for many people. Unable to handle these stresses, some people hurt themselves through drugs, alcohol, or suicide, or hurt others through fights and aggressive behavior. Now, that is on top of the perennial stress that most people face. There is the stress caused by work, and people get stressed out and they experience headache, anxiety, overeating or undereating, muscle tension or pain, restlessness, angry outbursts. Now, what we are targeting for in our discussion today is how can we bring inner peace regardless of what's outside there, so that we can be in harmony in body, mind, emotions, and spirit. And the key to that is balance. So this is the first thing that I just want to mention this evening, that the importance of balance in life. Loss of balance causes you to crash. Imbalance causes you to continue. Let's take the example of cycling. If you lose balance, you might fall over. So I cycle twice or 3 times a week. I make sure that I am in good balance, otherwise I may fall over. Same with running. If you are unbalanced one way or the other, you might fall down. I remember one time I was running in the forest. My foot landed badly, and I lost balance and tumbled along the along the forest floor. So when we lose balance, we crash. Now, what I want to bring to your attention this evening, this afternoon, is this concept called dynamic balance instead of static balance, because a lot of people tend to think about balance as the static balance, whereby you take a kilogram, something that is of kilogram weight, and they weigh it against, say, a weight of 1 kilogram, and there is that balance. The thing about life is dynamic. Life is flowing. So in this dance of life, we are moving in a way so that we are in continual balance. For example, in walking, at every moment that you are walking, you are in static imbalance. However, as you put one foot after another, you are correcting yourself and you are moving into dynamic balance. So this is what I am referring to in life. If we were to go for static balance, then we may it will cause an imbalance, and we may fall. So when we go into looking for inner peace in order to manage stress, when I mention about the key being balance, it's about looking for dynamic balance, in the sense that we can never be statically balanced. However, what's most important is as we continue moving, we are in dynamic balance and we do not crash, and we can continue. Now, my way of having this discussion is that not to be speaking right until the end and then wait for question and answer. I would like to go in short main points, and then I will pause for questions or comments or any contributions from you. So let me just pause here so that I can invite any questions or comments from any one of you with respect to what we have just covered so far, with respect to people experiencing stresses in life because of COVID, because of work, especially prior to COVID, there's that stresses due to work. And what I mentioned that earlier is that the key to handling stresses is balance, because if you are unbalanced, you need to use a lot of energy to stay upright. So the key is in getting into balance, and I've brought this concept called dynamic balance rather than static balance, because life is a dance, it's dynamic. So I'd like to invite any comments or questions from any one of you. Just go ahead. Just unmute yourself and you may speak.
I like the idea of dynamic balance. It sounds like you are flexible to adjust yourself. You are not rigid or unable to adjust.
Yes, thank you, Guaching, for that point. You are flexible to move.
Welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any comments?
Does balance mean calm?
Again, Mr. Hilmi?
Does balance mean calm? Calmness.
To some extent, yes. I would say that there would be, when you are in balance, yes, there will be calmness. I've not thought of it that way. I've not thought about the state when it comes to balance. Yeah, I would agree with you. Balance will bring that calmness to you. It will bring that serenity. Thank you for pointing that.
Okay. Okay.
So you are good with that? So let's take another point for us to discuss. Right. Next point that I'd like to bring when we talk about balance is that we want to have balanced life outcomes. In order for us to have that dynamic balance in our outcomes, what desire out of life, we need to start at a point where we are balanced in our desires or outcomes. So what we need to do is we need to set outcomes in all important areas of life for balance. And one of the reasons that people can go imbalance is that they only set outcomes in only one or two areas of their lives. And that can create an imbalance in the way that they live. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the concept of the wheel of life. Now, when you look at the wheel of life, there are many categories of areas of our lives. So when you want to have a balanced life outcome, you want to set outcomes in all of those areas of life. So let's take a look at the wheel of life so that when you set your life outcomes, it can create that balance. So in the wheel of life, just checking, yes, that you have it there. Now, one area is the area of mental, our mental health. This refers to thinking, learning, competency, skills in doing things. So this is the area of mental area of life. And as I go through each and every one of these, I want you to be thinking about in this particular area of life, what is your outcome? What have you set as an outcome for yourself? For example, in the area of mental health, in the wheel of life, I commit myself to reading books. I don't finish one book a month. Probably I finish a couple of books a year. I have my reading that is focused in the area of mainly neurosemantics, in the area of coaching. At the same time, I also read wide ranging articles going into photography, going into hiking, and all other areas as well. So this is one area that you want to set for yourself as outcomes. What outcomes are you setting yourself in the area of mental health? Next area is in the area of business. This refers to success in your professional life. This refers to achievement and growth in the area of business. So what is it that you are setting for yourself? Now, business here doesn't mean that you must be in business for yourself. It could also be you are working for a business. So that's part of your profession. So what are your outcomes, your goals in the area of business? Next is personal. Personal relates to self. So what outcomes are you setting for yourself? Self referring to self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-concept. Are you putting out outcomes so that you can grow healthily in the area of esteem, confidence, and concept? So that's another area of life. Next area of life is financial, because the finances permeates almost every area of our lives. So what outcomes are you setting for yourself in the area of financial? This refers to financial security, financial independence, and also freedom financially. So what outcomes are you setting for yourself? Next area of life is the physical area. Physical refers to the energy, the health, and the vitality. And for those of you who know me, one of my, I would say, outcomes for myself in the area of physical health is so that I can be healthy and flexible and having enough stamina so that I can play with my grandchildren the way that they want to play instead of having to hold back because I'm not healthy enough. So what outcomes are you setting for yourself in the area of physical health? Next area is the area of family. In the context of family, this is about love, loving and feeling loved, about communication, about connection with the people in your family. So that's your significant other, your partner, your parents, children, friends, sorry, not friends, but the people in your family. So this is one area. The next area I mentioned friend, this is in the area of social. Now, social can be friends. It can also be in the area of enjoyment, recreation, and contribution. If you notice, some people in the social area, they involve themselves in social activities, in clubs and societies that contribute to the well-being of others. So that's part of the social area. So what are you doing in that respect? So what are your goals? What are your outcomes for that? And another wheel in the wheel of life, another spoke, so to speak, in the wheel of life is in the spiritual area. Spiritual area does not just cover religious area. However, it does cover the vision that you have for your life and beyond. Service, how you be of service to humanity, and also about self-actualizing. So these are the wheel of life. So when we talk about having a balanced life, what we are talking about is to have it balanced in all of these areas. One of the reasons why people get are imbalanced in their life, and imbalance will create that disharmony. So when you are when people set outcomes only in 1, 2, or maybe just 3 of the various facets of their life. Now, when I showed to you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I showed to you eight areas of life. Now, these are not hard and fast. It must be 8 areas of life. Some people can categorize it into 6 areas of life or 12 areas of life. Now, the key to balance is to have outcomes in all the areas of life. In that way, you are putting your energy in getting that wheel of life well-rounded, so to speak, because when it is well-rounded, it moves smoothly. Any one of you have ever driven a car and suddenly one of your car tires blow up? And now it is imbalanced because that wheel cannot turn properly. So this is why when we talk about the wheel of life, to set outcomes that are in all the various areas, in that way, that creates that harmony. The wheel is turning in a continuous and smooth fashion. Okay, let me pause here and let me ask of your comments or feedback. I'd like to welcome Tingwi and Danielle. Thank you for joining us this evening. So, any questions or comments with respect to the wheel of life? Thank you, Danielle. Just glad that you're able to join us.
Thank you, Marzuki, for the explanation. But my question is how to use this in coaching, to use the wheel of life in coaching someone.
Thank you for asking that. So one of the, I sometimes, if the client needs it, sometimes I take out a printout of that wheel of life. give it to my client, and I will ask the client, so what are your outcomes in life? And this may serve as a guide, as a reference when you put out the outcomes that you want. So yes, sometimes I do that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Have you got any questions or comments? Yes, Cik
But how about what if someone say in life might be so many things, man. I only got one thing, can or not? Only family, for example, because she's a housewife. So family is my everything, nothing else.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it possible? Then how?
Later, when we go into moving from balance into vitality, you'll realize that when you put out a goal only in one particular area, your needs are not going to be gratified. And because of that, when your needs are not gratified, then you cannot function. It's just like a car. You drive a car, and all that you do is you pump petrol into the car. You don't ever send the car for maintenance to change the engine oil. After some time, the car will break down. Yeah. So that's why having this wheel of life in mind, when you set out your goals, it helps you to be more balanced in setting out the goals, so that you are not blindsided. Yeah, blindsided in the sense that we are. When I give the example of the car, I remember a friend. He drove his father's car. When we first started work, we were very young, so he didn't have a car before that. So he drove his father's car to work, and that was exactly what he did. He just pumped in petrol. After driving the car for about 2 years, the car completely broke down, the engines, because he never sent the car for servicing to change the engine oil or whatsoever. So when you are blindsided in one area of your life and you don't take care of it, the thing about it, there is that lag before the damage comes into is manifested. So that's why having that wheel of life, making sure that you are taking care of all those areas. Yeah. Tingvi, you have something to add?
Yeah,
Good to see you.
I actually used to I used to play the tool with some of the clients. So I think initially they were quite okay, so just coloring the wheel, and of course when they look at the wheel, I think I use the terms like meta states, right? So they feel bad about the wheel, right? So yeah, most often is that after they came out the wheel, they feel really bad about it. So I think that's the one that I experienced quite a few times.
Okay.
So I think yeah, then we have a strategy to work on some leverage point, what's the first priority, blah blah blah. So but that's my feeling, like, oh, initially you didn't know, and then after you draw out the wheels, like, oh yeah. Meta states.
Thank you, Tingwi. And for people who are familiar with it, we take it for granted. It's just that Tingwi, as you mentioned, a lot of people are not aware of this. They are not aware of this. They are maybe focused only in the area of finance, in the area of business. I wonder if any one of you can guess that there is this one tycoon who built a very big business. When he passed away, none of his grandchildren wants anything to do with the wealth that he left. His children, his grandchildren, none of them wanted any part of it, because when he was alive, he just overlooked his family. So after that, his business empire that he built through his lifetime were broken off because none of the children want to step up and take charge of the business. So he focused in the area of business, in the area of finance, and did not look at all in the area of family, in the area of communication and connection, to the extent that he became estranged from his family. So that is sad. That is sad. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the next point. So this next point is something that I would say not many people are aware. People talk about this work-life balance as if that you have to juggle between these two and get it to balance. So 50% here and 50% here. Now, my take on it is that work-life balance, it's a myth. It's a false dichotomy. You are creating two things on polar opposites, and you are trying to juggle them. The thing about work and life, they are not mutually exclusive. It's both and, not either or. It's work and life, not work or life. So this is where people get things mixed up. So they create this myth that they have to balance on one side work and they have to balance the life on the other side. Now, when when someone works on this concept, work or life is either or thinking, that's when stresses occur. That's when you are thinking that you are working, you think that you are not living. So when you are living, you are not working. So it is not the issue. It is not work or life. It's the thinking of either or, the either work or life. That's giving people the problem. So when people are working, they feel distressed that they are not taking care of life, and they are happily with the family. They become distressed because they are not doing something about their work. So that yo-yo, moving from one extreme to the other, is what's causing the ill health. So what we want to look at, it is not about work or life. It is work and life. To be looking at it, that work and life is one of the same within the same wheel. Because come to think of it, working is a means of enriching life and vice versa. So the question that you need to ask is, how does your work enrich your life? What will you need to give up in your life if you do not have your work? So this is where some people, this is also a blind side. People think that when they are not working, people think that when they are working, they are not taking care of their life. So they become resentful of the time that they spend in order to work, because when they work, they are not taking care of their life. The question is, the work in itself is part and parcel of sustaining life, because, and especially in this COVID situation, when people lose their work and because of that they lose their income, then people begin to really realize that the quality of their life also reduces. So I hope that I consider this as a lesson which is painful, which is very bitter, but for some people they need to have that shock in order to realize that work is in the service of life, and life is in the service of the work that you do, because the work that you do is how you justify your life. That's why in the English language they use the term working is when we work, that is an activity for you to earn your living. Now, for many people, when they come across this word earn a living, they have this notion that earning a living is getting a salary for the work that they do. But the original context of the word to earn a living is that in our livingry, we are taking in a lot of energy in order to service our livingry. So we are taking in. So what are we giving in return? So when we give our energy in return for the energy that we take, that's what it means that we have earned our life. We have earned our living. So when we do not give for what we receive, we have not earned that living. So once we understand this concept that work is a way of me to demonstrate to the universe that I earn my life, and that will give us greater power in terms of looking at work and life is one of the same in the same circle, because one is in support of the other and neither are they separate. Okay, so let me just pause over there and invite any questions or comments.
Hi, Coach.
Yes, Rina, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. I understand what you mean that that it's actually one and the same in terms of work and life, and you're actually working to live. The thing is, how do we actually create the balance that you don't work so much to the point that you don't live? How do we do that?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Rina, for asking that question. So that goes back to the wheel of life, to know that when you set your goals to fulfill every of the categories or areas of life. Because when you set your goals using the wheel of life, and if I may share with you, coming in from the perspective of inside out wealth, to understand what wealth is, then that will allow you to answer the question, when is enough? Yeah. The reason why people get off balance is when they don't set the goals in the wheel of life. They are focused maybe in one particular area. For example, for many people, they focus in the area of finance. Finance is very important. It is essential. Money is essential in our life over here. Now, when you go after that money at the expense of your health, that's when you need to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Why am I spending one wealth, which is my health, just to get another kind of wealth, which is money? So once you have a holistic understanding of what wealth is, when you have a holistic understanding of what makes your life, that will help you to answer the question, how much is enough? When you do not have the outcomes set out, that is when you go overboard. You become imbalanced, and coming in with unresourceful meaning making. That's when people go into going after wealth, never enough. And I'm using wealth as an example because I'm using money as an example because That is a most common example for many people. But there are also people who may be imbalanced in another area. For example, a person who is going after physical health. I think about 5-6 years ago, this gentleman, he was the president of SAP for India. Very young age, at the age of about 40. He was not in his early 40s, and he passed away due heart attack, and people were stunned, thinking, how could he have a heart attack at such a young age? Now, he was imbalanced in the area of health, in the sense that he was a triathlete, so in the area of sports, very active in the area of sports. It's just that he only covered the area of physical health. I keep mentioning, when it comes to physical health, is a three, like a stool. It's got 3 legs. So the 3 legs are exercise, rest, and nutrition. Yeah, so you need to have all those 3. In his case, he neglected sleep, rest. So he was pushing his body to the limit, not giving his body enough time to rest. And the doctors who looked into his case said that is the only plausible explanation, because everything else, there's nothing wrong about him. So that was the only plausible explanation. So this is where, when we don't set out outcomes in a balanced outcome, we may be imbalanced. That imbalance will cause us to go overboard, over achieving in one particular area that harm us in the other areas. So this is how, when we have the balanced outcome, it will inform us when is enough. When, how much money is enough for my living re, how much exercise is enough for my good health, how much sleep, how much enjoyment, social enjoyment do I need to go for? Because this is where, moving into neurosemantics, we go into pleasuring and de-pleasuring. Sometimes people over pleasure a certain area of their life, and that cause imbalance. Yeah, does that answer your question, Rina?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that. Yeah. So welcome, Franska. You are here audio only. Baby is asleep. Is that it, Franska? Right. Yes, thank you. Anyway, thank you for joining us. I love it when you're able to join us. Now, let's take another point. That is, we talk about getting into balance, being in harmony in our life. So taking care of all the various aspects of our life. I showed to you 8 aspects. For some people, it could be 6. Some people, it could be 10, whatsoever. However, you want to be balanced in those areas. Once you set balanced outcome, then your life is in harmony. That is when you begin to move from balance into vitality. Balance is about creating that space whereby you are able to move in life. You are able to move in life in the way that is acceptable. Next is, we are moving into life in the way that is more extraordinary in terms of how you live your life. Now, the first thing that I want to mention about when you move from balance to vitality is about goal achievement. That as human beings, we are never satisfied with whatever that we have. Yeah, I'll just make that as a statement. In order to qualify that statement, I need another hour and a half also. So I will not I will not go into that statement. It's just that human beings are never satisfied with what they have, because they will want to continue to move on. So wherever that they are at this particular moment, there is that vision for themselves that they want to go towards. For example, yeah, let's take the example of Franska. You have a baby. Is your baby 1 year old already? Time passes so fast. Now, going back to my my own experience, let's take my experience with my granddaughter. I've got a picture over here to remind me not to be too serious. Now, when she was say 6 years old, all that I was thinking is that, okay, what can I do that will be fun and enjoyable for her? So I will be running together with her, playing hide and seek. And then I begin to be thinking that what happens when she becomes 10? What will she want? So this is what I'm referring to, where we are in the current state. So maybe when Grasshopper was about 6 years old, that was the current state at that time, and I was already thinking, how would I be interacting with her when she's 10, when she's 12? So those are the desired state. So I'm already thinking, okay, I need to help her in this way. I identify what it is that she needs when she's 10, when she's 12. So there is always that something else that we want that we don't have yet. So this is what we are referring to, current state with respect to desired state. There is always something that we want better for ourselves. Now, that in itself will create stress, because here we are having something, and there is the place where we want to go, and we know that where we want to go, there are things that we don't have. So that creates that stress. Now, this is what we call eustress, and that is good stress. Because without this stress of going for your goals, you will remain the same. The only thing about life is that life itself is changing. If we don't change, then we become worse for it. Yeah. An example that I can give to you, those of you who live in the city, like in KL, the wonderful thing, we go to the city, they build highways, and then they put the toll booth at the end of the highway, right? Whether you're using touch and go or smart tag. But the thing about when you get to the toll booth, you stop. Now, when you stop, because the car in front of you is not moving, and the lane beside you begins to move, relatively, you are not moving. But when you look at the car beside you is moving, you feel as if you're going backwards. So that's the thing about life. If you think that you can stop moving, then you're making a mistake, because the moment you think that you stop moving, because life is moving forward, you begin to regress. So that's why having this stress of wanting more in life is healthy, because it keeps you moving, it keeps you healthy, it keeps you achieving in your life. So that is the thing about goal achievement. So in order to achieve the goal, our goals, we need to feel alive and vital. So this is where the vitality solution comes in. So I mentioned earlier, when we talk about vitality, we feel fully alive and vital when our needs are met. So what are those needs? So this is where the skill of succinctly gratifying our needs come in. So let's take a look. What are the needs? One is the the physiological needs. This is about breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, excretion. These are the needs of the body. So do we have the means and the capability to gratify these needs? Because once we are able to gratify these needs, we become healthy. We feel healthy. Just an example, let's say, how many of you have ever had constipation? Constipation means that you cannot go to the toilet. Are you happy during that time? Are you healthy? No. Even if you are constipated for even 2 days, even your face starts to ache because you cannot go to the toilet. So these are the needs of the physiology. So we need to be skilled in gratifying those. Next level need are the needs of safety. We are talking about the security of our body, employment, resources, morality, family, health, property. So those are the needs for safety. Do we have the skill to do that? To gratify them succinctly. Then moving on in the vitality solution, to be able to gratify the need of love and belonging. And this refers to friendship, family, and sexual intimacy. This is part of our need for love and belonging. Next, the need of esteem. Self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, and respect by others. And my personal experience in this particular area, coaching people, is that people may be accomplished in their profession, in their business, and yet I'm discovering there are still many people having issues with their self-esteem and self-confidence and self-efficacy, because there is a lot of confusion there. They have issues with their self-concept. So this is part of esteeming. Yeah? Moving on from there is self-actualization need. This is about our morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. So these are all part of our self-actualization. So when we talk about moving from balance to vitality, with the unleashing vitality formula from neurosemantics, this is where we can see that there is that solution, that when we know how to gratify ourselves in all of these areas of needs, that's when we feel alive, vital, because all of our needs are met. The problem that many people have is that they confuse the gratification levels, and because of that, they get lost in the jungle. So that's why Abraham Maslow calls it below self-actualization, esteem, love, belonging, safety, and physiological. That is a jungle. That is the jungle where most people are lost because they don't have succinct and clear understanding of what they are, and because of that, they are not gratifying it succinctly and healthily. and it becomes unhealthy, and people get stuck in that jungle. So when we talk about moving from balance to vitality, it is about gratifying our needs succinctly, because once we are able to do that, then we can move into the self-actualization need. So that is when we are fully alive, fully vital. Okay, so let me just pause there. I'd like to invite any questions or comments.
Marzuki, what is self-concept?
Self-concept. Self-concept takes into account self-esteem, self-confidence, self-efficacy, self-worth, self-investment. So that's 6. Another couple more. I can't remember offhand, but these are part of the concepts that we put about ourselves. This form our both our self matrix and also our power matrix. So it's about the self matrix. It's just that sometimes when people confuse between self matrix and power matrix, so that's when their self concept begins are built on unstable ground. Unstable in the sense that because when they confuse the two, then they begin to lose. They begin to lose and devalue themselves. They value themselves based upon their power rather than who they really are. So this goes into the matrix model. We talk about the matrix of self and the matrix of power. Yeah? Power refers to our competencies, capabilities. Self refers to who we are as a person. And most people, they confuse between the two. So it's about being, doing, and having. People, we need to learn to value ourselves as the human being. We are a human being is distinct or separate from a human doing. So a human doing is conditional on competency. Just because you are incompetent doesn't mean you are any less as a person. So to separate person from behavior, that's very important, that a human being is separate from a human doing and separate from a human having. And many people, they confuse those. They esteem themselves based upon their skill. They esteem themselves, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a surgeon. They esteem themselves with their doing, and they also esteem themselves based upon their having. Oh, I have a lot of money. I have good homes to live in. So they esteem themselves based upon their having. So these are key distinctions that we need to have in order to have our self-concept to be healthy. Is that useful for you? Yes, Mr. Helmi, go ahead.
For self-esteem, how to manage that? How, if there is a problem, and we know all for self-confidence, we just work on skills and everything. But if there is a problem of self-esteem and we don't know how to deal with that.
Thank you. So what I keep mentioning to people is that how you esteem yourself, there is only one condition that you esteem yourself. There is condition upon the fact that you are a human being. Mm-hmm. So we want to bring people to be able to accept I am a human being, and to be able to appreciate themselves as a human being, and to be able to be in awe of this wonderful human being, and let that sink in. That is who you are. You are special. You are perfect in God's creation. You are perfect based upon the role that you need to play in this world. And when I mention this, people who are born without arms or legs or blind, they are born perfect for the role that they need to play. So they are not having what other people are having. However, as a being, they are already perfect in this world. So this is the what we as human beings need to recognize. Now, the next step is to look at our competencies. That is our doing. When we are competent, we can do it well. When we are not competent, we cannot do it well. So let people understand that if they are able to do things well, it means to say that they are competent. It doesn't mean that their being is any much more than that, because human being is unconditional. Esteem is unconditional. The example that I give sometimes is that when you see a baby, a newborn baby, and many people, when they see newborn baby, wow, so beautiful, so cute. Like I'm laughing. I remember my grandson. He's 5 years old now, and everybody keeps saying that he's cute. He's cute because he's got the dimple there. You know, when you have dimple, when they smile, it melts your knee, that kind of thing. So one day I asked him, Mayan, we call him Mayan, how do you get to be so cute? He looked at me and said, I've always been cute. When I heard that, okay, just accepting that he's cute. So I don't ask him that question anymore, because he said, but I've always been like this. So that is about our being. And many people, they confuse their doing with their being, because they go into business and the business fail. So they conclude that, I am worth less than my friend who's a multi-millionaire, because his business went boom. So that is conditional. Esteeming yourself based upon your skills in doing. Now, the thing about it is that there are more things I am incompetent in compared to the things that I am competent in. So if you're to think that way, then everybody will be thinking, I'm terrible, I'm no good, I'm no use. Yeah, because I am skilled in driving a car, I'm not skilled in driving a truck, I'm not skilled in driving a JCB, a excavator, I'm not skilled in driving an aeroplane, I'm not skilled in flying a helicopter. The things that I am not skilled in are more than what I am skilled in, but it doesn't make me any less of a person. So this is where to have that firm boundary between self, this is esteeming, and doing, my skill and competency, and having. Having is the result of doing things. So if I'm not skilled in something, then I may not be getting the result. I, as a person, am complete and whole. So that's why from neurosemantics perspective, we have that 3 states that we want to bring on self: the state of acceptance, the state of appreciation, and the state of awe, to bring onto self, because that's who you are. Does that help, Mr. Hilmi?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So let's take another point to move on. So what are the major symptoms, signs and symptoms of stress? We can look at some of the symptoms. They come into the body. So these are the symptoms that you will notice in the body. If you are experiencing stress in life, then you may be experiencing headache, muscle tension or muscle pain. And as I say that, I realized, oh, I have a back pain here. Yeah, I know that's a sign of stress. My legs are not same height, so that's why. So that's causing the stress. So I need to see a chiropractor to repair that. Yeah, you may have chest pain or fatigue, change in sex drive or stomach upset. So all of these things you experience in the body when you are in a stressful situation, in a chronic stress, then it goes into the body. Now, what happens to your mood? You have anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation or focus, feeling overwhelmed, irritability or anger, sadness or depression. So these are what affects your state. Some people call it mood, but in neurosemantics, we prefer to use the word state, your mental and emotional state. So these are signs or symptoms of stress. In terms of behavior, overeating or undereating, angry outbursts, substance abuse, drug or alcohol, tobacco use, social withdrawal, and exercising less often. So these are some of the signs and symptoms of stress. So what do you do? If you are experiencing any of it, then you want to put in place stress management strategies. So I have over here, I would like to share with you 5 categories of stress management strategies. The first category is getting regular physical activity. This morning I went cycling. Other days I go walking, so I walk more than I cycle. I love walking actually. So getting physical. Your body is designed to move. So move your body because that will get rid of the stress. Now, as I was mentioning that, I remember when I was running a construction company. For 12 years, I was in the construction industry, running a construction company. And there was a time that I noticed that it was cyclical. Every 1.5 or 2 months, I would suffer a breakdown. I would become feverish, ill. It would take me 2 or 3 days to recover. So my body just gave up. Then I realized that, okay, so this could be due to stress. So what I did was, because in the construction world, I was working from 9 to about 9 or 10 every day. So I was not getting enough physical exercise. So what I did was I deliberately signed up with the gym so that by 5:30, at least 3 days in a week, I would leave the office and people know that, okay, on those days, Mazuki is going to go to the gym. During that time, it was not popular yet to go to the gym. There is no such thing as these gyms that are abound today. So I had to sign up for a gym at the hotel in Subang Jaya during that time. So putting that into my routine, getting that regular exercise, after about 2 or 3 months doing that, I noticed that I wasn't going into getting ill anymore. So this is part of a stress management strategy, getting regular physical activity. Another one is practicing relaxation techniques. So what works for you? It could be deep breathing, meditation, yoga, tai chi, or massage. So whatever works for you. For me, it's the forest. I'm so grateful that where I live, it's only 2 kilometers away to a forest reserve. I make sure that every week, once a week, I will go and just have a walk in the forest, maybe an hour or 2 hours, sometimes 3, if I have time. And that is how I relax, just to be in nature. Next is keeping a sense of humor. That's why I like to look at the funny side of things. And I'm so glad that I have my granddaughter, whose every bone in her body, except for one, is a funny bone. And that's her when she was about 3 years old, to always look at the lighter side of things. Her mama was driving a car one day, and I think she was about 5 or 6 years old, and my daughter had not driven a car for quite some time, so she was a little bit rusty. Came to the traffic light, she stopped there, and when she wanted to go, when the light turned green, it stalled. So not managing the clutch and accelerator pedal well. And then she started again and stalled, started again and stalled. And Grasshopper, sitting beside her mama, just innocently said to mama, "Oh, mama, we'll never get home like this." So she always looks at the funny side of things. So she reminds me to look at the funny side of things to keep the sense of humor. The fourth one is to spend time with family and friends. Why family and friends? Because these constitute you gratifying your love and belonging needs. So when you spend time with your family and friends, this gratifies that. And the thing about love, belonging, connection, it requires time. So be there for the people that you love. And last but not least, set aside time for hobbies, such as reading a book or listening to music. And one of my hobbies, now it's become a major hobby, is photography. So you notice all of those old cameras at the back there that I've owned all these years. And one thing that led to another is that now my granddaughter, Grasshopper, has also developed that same interest. So now my hobby is photography with my granddaughter and going hiking into the forest. So 3 things at one go. So that gives me a great deal of calmness in my life and serenity. Okay, so these are 5 stress management strategies. I wonder what works for you. So those are the things that you want to look for yourself in order for you to be able to manage the stresses in life, because they keep coming back. The stresses keep coming back because that's how life is, because we are moving from one place to another all the time, continuously moving. So the factors that relates to stress keeps coming back over and over and over again. So having the effective strategies how to manage this stress and employing these strategies continually in your life will keep you in a state that is harmonious, that is calm, that is more serene, even though all of the things that are happening around you are still happening, but you remain that steadfast in whatever it is that you're doing, keeping calm, in harmony with yourself and with nature. Okay, so let me just stop there and invite any comments or questions. We covered the signs and symptoms of stress, and then I shared with you 5 categories of 5 strategies how to manage stresses. So any comments that you like to make, or any questions? So Danielle, have you completed your 10,000 steps for today?
Yep,
Oh, good.
almost.
Still stressed, not stressy
400
yet.
to go.
100 to go, or 400.
400.
Very fast.
Yeah. Okay, good. Right. Anyone has got any questions or comments?
Okay, Mr. Mazuki, so for example, right, you said, okay, have more physical activity, all this kind of thing. Yeah, then I say, okay, every weekend I go to cycling 20 kilometers kind of thing, okay? Physical activity, but after that, every weekend, 5 o'clock, I try to wake up in the early morning to go cycling. Then, less of motivation, tomorrow first, all this kind of thing. Is it this kind of thing is like procrastination or stress?
Yeah. So, there are things that you can do to reduce those. One is the thing about it is that there is that goal that you want to achieve, which is better health. And in order to achieve better health, there is the activity, the physical activity that you need to do. Now, when you do that physical activity, there are certain discomfort that you experience. For some people, they consider that as a discomfort, and because of that, they cannot see the outcome that they want to achieve. So all that you see is your obstacle. You cannot see the outcome. So that's the reason why it's difficult. Yeah. So two things that you can do to overcome that is be focused on the outcome. So what is the health goal that you want to achieve? So instead of seeing the walking or cycling, you're seeing the health goal. So looking beyond the activity. So that's one strategy. The other strategy is to love the activity itself.
I love the activities. It's just that sometimes, you wake up in the morning, because they like last month kind of thing, every morning they were heavy rain kind of thing. Even there's one day, right? I just got my bike on my car ready, then go out, halfway. Kind of things. That's why then the next day I wake up not even after rain again. Really, halfway really heavy rain pouring. Come out.
Check you. What I've done for myself is that when I go out, I make sure I have a plastic bag. You know, when you
of course,
when you buy things, plastic bag,
yes,
something like that.
I used to have that also to put my handphone.
Put the handphone inside there. If it rain, my body is waterproof.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is what I do. So I take those kind of the zip-on bag kind of things, so that I can put my phone there, because I have a clip on my bike there to put my phone there kind of things. So that's why I use the zip-on bag kind of thing. So that's why, but certain extent when it comes to exercise, I'm not that hardcore, which I was cycling in the rain kind of things. That's why I say, then go home and sleep again kind of things. So this is why. And then also, right, after cycling for 3 months, I'm not losing weight, but I gained 2 kilos. But of course, my waist, you can see is reduced. I actually punch another 2 holes on my back already, kind of things. Like that. So that's why but of course, maybe because that is the weather kind of thing, which they will rain. What can we do? I think just that now it's dry season, so that's why now every week I still go back. That's why, because sometimes at that moment, right, there are something which that really like stop us, like potong steam kind of thing. But so in that kind of things, is it like really this is just lazy, right? Not really like stress, right? Because of that, right?
I'm just laughing at Guat Ching's comment there. You gain weight because you eat more after exercise.
Certain extent, it is quite a fat kind of thing, because why? Because you are very excited, after you can see the thing, the app, show I have burned 1,800 calories, Roti canai satu, roti telur satu, tosia satu, teh tarik satu, gelas punya besar.
Thank you, Cik Siu. So that's why from neurosemantics perspective, when we talk about sustaining a certain behavior, one is we want to visit our intention. That is the intentionality pattern. Another one is we call pleasuring pattern. So create whatever it is that you need to do, you have to do, instead of needing to do or having to do. Now it becomes pleasurable to do. So that's also another thing that we have. And the other is what we call the excuse blowouts. To be able to differentiate between reasons, there are legitimate reasons and there are excuses. So we take into account legitimate reasons. So rain, there is a legitimate reason for you not to go out in the rain. It could be because when you are cycling, it is more dangerous, cars cannot see you and all that. Yeah. But the other is excuses. So to be able to differentiate between reasons and excuses, so that when excuses come out, we can just blow them out of the water in that sense. So there are things that that we can do, so that the activity that we do that is healthy for us, we continue to do those activity without any obstacles. Yeah. And at the same time, to take into account that you are a human being, and human beings are also not consistent. So just accept that fact.
It's like you say, yeah, is that like what you say? It's perfectly for the being kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Right. Okay, so we've come to the end of the session. I'm glad that I'm able to share with you what we've covered today. One is on the importance of balance in life, and we talk about having the dynamic balance rather than focusing on static balance, because life is a dance, life is a movement, it is a flow. Then we talk about balanced life outcomes, so that when we put out the outcomes in our life, that will keep us on an even keel rather than being lopsided or heavy-sided in one area. And when Rina asked the question, it also helped to bring the issue of when or how much is enough in any one particular area. So when we have a balanced life outcome, then the outcomes for other areas of our life will inform us when certain things that we have set as outcomes for ourselves, when it is enough, so that we can have the energy to put in the other areas. Then we talk about work-life balance as a myth, that it becomes a myth people talk about, and the reason why it happens is that people create this dichotomy that work is work and life is life. People overlook the fact that work is a way of sustaining life, and life is a way of the way that you live your life is a way of when you work, you are earning your life. So that's basically, it is one and the same. And then we look about how to move from just balance to vitality. Is about having the skill to gratify yourself in all the areas of your needs. And then we talk about the major signs and symptoms of stress, the signs and symptoms in the body, in our state, and also in our behavior. So to be able to notice that if any of those signs are there, what it is telling to us is that we are experiencing stress in one way or the other, and to look for ways to be able to overcome that. And finally, I shared with you 5 stress management strategies that you want to put into place in continuous basis, so that you are managing or de-stressing yourself on a daily basis, instead of allowing it to go to a certain extreme that you are beginning to feel, to experience the symptom, to be able to keep yourself continually in the optimum state and operation for yourself. So that's what we have covered in the session this evening and this afternoon. So before we end, just like to ask each and every one of you, what is your takeaway from this particular session? What is it that you are taking away from this session that you that is useful for you? So I'm just going to go from the bottom of my screen. I like to work from the bottom of my screen. So Danielle, go ahead. So what's your takeaway from this session?
I love the part when you shared about the work-life balance is a myth. Now I find new insights how to actually interpret this, because I think earlier on, like you say, many people try to see it as two different things. And then we also heard about there's another term called work-life integrations. That is like you can't really separate your work from your life because it's being part of your life. But I think the way you explain it, it makes more sense. So it helped me to understand it deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would also want to share about my own experience about the 5 stress management strategies. Like what Chek-Siu said, the struggle is real actually when we decide that we want to do something. We know that it's good for us, but when we started to do it, and then we might see obstacle and find excuses for ourselves. So for me, how I overcome it is I started small. I don't make big goal like I have to, I know exercise is good, so I need to be hardcore 7 days a week. So I started small, like with just 2 days, and each time is just half an hour. And slowly I just built my, motivation and also stamina from that, because when you see results, then the result will motivate you as well. Yeah, so that is my strategy when I know something is good for me, and to pick up the habit sometimes is really difficult. Reading a book is very difficult for me, but I find a way is to start very small. Okay. So I don't aim to like complete, one book in a week time. I just start very small, like, okay, every day I just make maybe 30 minutes time just to read. Yeah. So it works for me. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate that. Do things small step. Take small steps. That's how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Thank you. And Rina, over to you.
Hi. Basically, I like the part where you said that there's actually 8 parts to the wheel of life. So basically, we more or less know those things, but seeing it actually focuses you, and so you actually know, these are the things that you need to have balance so that your life would be better. So now that it's listed out, so slowly we can plan out how to get balance in all those 8 parts of the wheel of life.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. Good. And over to you, Guat-Ching. Go ahead.
Don't see stress as a negative thing. Stress also can be a positive side that keep you move forward and motivate you to achieve something. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Guat-Ching. They have a term for it. They call it eustress. EUSTRESS. Eustress.
Yes.
Thank you. Chek-Siu, go ahead. Your turn.
Yeah, like what Daniel said, start something small kind of thing. That's why I start to cycling like only like 22 km per day, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. I just want to complete that distance. I'm not want to like my friend, they want to push like 30 km per hour kind of thing. I'm not that hardcore kind of thing. So that's why I just want to complete, and I'm not going to compete kind of thing. So that's why no stress. And then I want to make it as a leisure kind of thing. And then also in order to so-called motivate me, I always use some software to make a video and always record it and to see kind of things. Like that. Also, that is how I keep myself moving kind of thing. Yeah. And also, and also it's like, and you see the benefit. Yes. Why I want to start? Actually, I start so-called exercise last September. First, I start walking. Then only I start cycling kind of thing, because when it comes to walking, you say, well, maybe it's too time consuming. Because why? Because I spend about 2 hours plus a bit to walk 10 km per day. So then after that, I said, maybe I cycling. So I also use 2 hours like that to cycling about 22, 23 km kind of things. So and then also, I mean, to me, it's like cycling is not, to me, I feel that it's less stress to my knee. So that's why I choose the cycling. Because when it comes to, because cycling, we still can change the gear. It's more relaxing compared to walking, because last time when I walk, right, there is a stretch like uphill for about 2 km. My heartbeat go up to 174, which I have to come to stop and then so that's why I say, that's why stress is good, but sometimes you don't over stress kind of things. So we need to know our limit. That's why, and also as you said, we cannot too focus on one thing. And also, to me, I strongly feel that I need to focus on so many things as well. Because there are certain things which is totally, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like meaningless, but it just like can put aside kind of thing. I don't know whether it's right or wrong kind of thing. Maybe 8 things, maybe I focus like 4 or 5 kind of thing. I won't focus all 8 at the same time kind of things.
All right.
That's like that. Okay.
Thank you, Chek Siu. Appreciate that very much. Tingwi, you're next.
There are many key takeaways. The one that remind me is the cute little boy, the current and the desire. So I think that's a reminder for myself that sometimes going through the stress because I am in there, right? So, but when I reach the goal, I forgot to look back that actually I've been through that and I achieved my goal. So. So funny that when I'm in there, I cannot realize it. And when I achieve the goal, forgot to look back and give a pat to myself at the back, right? So good reminder. I think you stress, the word that you use is a reminder to me. Not every situation is bad, but future is always wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Thank you, Tingwi. Appreciate that. And Claudine, over to you.
I mostly loved how you separated the wheel of life into sections. We all know they are there, but seeing them listed, you can concentrate on one thing at a time. I think I will use it. I do sessions for my clients, and I like especially how you can concentrate and pinpoint what lacks in your life. For example, personally, during COVID, I gained some weight like everyone else, and I became much lazier than I used to be. And I can pinpoint it much easier by checking every section on where I am and how I am adapting to each section and with regards with my life. That was my favorite part.
Okay, right. Thank you for sharing that, Claudine. Appreciate that.
And thank you. You are very good at explaining things. You explain them very simply.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudine. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Helmi, go ahead.
I thank you so much for your way and your manner of explaining things. It's funny to have this session with you, and it's the first time for me that I discover stress according to the wheel of life. It really a new way to discover stress and discover so many things about this stress. The second thing is about when we talked about self-esteem and stress management, about this point exactly, how to have a vision as if we are a gift and we are unique. It's a kind of way how to manage stress and how to help others. The last thing is I experienced the positive change to have some outcomes, but the problem was that I have too many things at the same time. So by this way, I will try to manage my stress by managing priorities. I discover that now. So I will discover and I will manage my priorities to make this stress less than ever. And thank you again for your style. It's funny. And I ask you, I don't know if I can ask you to have the upcoming session. What are the upcoming session about?
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Hilmi, for your comments. I appreciate that. And thank you for asking about upcoming sessions. What I do is that on the first Thursday of the month, the theme is on neurosemantics, specifically neurosemantics, and I'm covering Michael Hall's book, Neurosemantics. So that's what I do on the first Thursday of the month. Second Thursday of the month, previously the theme is the relationship. For this year, my focus on the second Thursday of the month is on self-leadership. So that's why I bring in this topic today. The third Thursday of the month, the theme is on the meta coaching system. So that's what we'll be covering for 2022, meta coaching system. And the fourth Thursday of the month, it is on parenting. So I cover this topic. So if you are interested in any of the themes, you can choose which
Yes.
ones. Yeah. Yeah. So what
we are so much we are interested in the meta coaching system, especially. I have a little issue with the meta questions and regarding to WFO.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So you're most welcome to join us on the third Thursday of the month. What I normally do is that every time I have these programs, I will send out an email to the list. So since you've joined for this session, then you'll be receiving the email from me. Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So with that, I really appreciate all of you for being here this evening and this afternoon for Helmi and Claudine. It is a pleasure for me to meet you in this manner, and I hope that you have gained something of value for yourself. So I wish you good health, stay healthy, stay safe, and may we meet again at another time, another place. So good night, and good afternoon, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.